I am Xiaoyao. The world says I am born cursed, an anomaly that should never exist among mortals or the three realms. But after all these years, I have only ever believed one truth. A righteous heart makes a righteous path. A free heart makes true freedom. I was born on a heavy snow night, plum blossoms drifting cold against the window. The moment I drew breath, my mother left the world. Neighbors called me ominous, a misfortune, a strange bloodline unfit for ordinary humanity. My blood carries a peculiar fragrance that summons all demons, marking me in mortal eyes as a disaster, a scourge, a heretic destined to be eliminated. Since childhood, I have endured endless abuse and exclusion. My door was splashed with blood, villagers avoided me like venomous snakes, and the world rushed to judge, banish, and define me before I ever knew right from wrong. To survive, I wandered the mortal marketplace with my father, pretending to exorcise spirits and draw talismans. With quick wits and worldly tact, I scraped by in the narrow gaps of mortal life. I have seen the shallow morality of men and the absurd prejudice of the world. Mortals boast of righteous ways, yet they are the narrowest and coldest of all. They never truly saw me, yet condemned my entire life based on rumors, bloodline, and fate. Still, I never harmed a soul. Even abandoned and despised by the entire world, I kept my heart sincere, warm, and unwaveringly open. Once I believed I was merely an ordinary mortal with a wretched fate. It was not until I accidentally broke an ancient seal and awakened Hongye, the century-old dormant king of demons, that I understood the root of my restless life. I am no pure human. Half mortal, half demon, I drift between the cracks of the three realms, belonging to no man, no demon, no immortal. My fate was written as lonely, my journey destined to be without support. When others learned of my origins, they were more certain than ever that I was evil. But I refused to submit to fate. What is righteousness? What is wickedness? When humans sin, they are excused. When demons do good, they are condemned. The rules of this world are biased and unjust. My Tao is not dictated by heaven, earth, or law. It is dictated only by my heart. All living beings are equal. Good and evil lie not in race, but in soul. When I first entered the 10,000 Demons Valley, I remained timid and wary, desperate to flee, to return to mortal trivialities, to live as an unnoticed commoner. I could not grow used to the cold stillness of the demon realm, nor the respectful yet distant gazes of the demons, least of all the aloof, peerless demon king Hongye, who regarded me as his only exception. Young and ignorant, I saw him as the most dangerous being in the world, the greatest variable in my life. I never imagined he would become my only salvation, my only home, my only lifelong obsession. I long knew of the sealed past 100 years ago. I knew he had once loved another, that Ning'an shared my face, that his heart held an old love tangled in affection and grief. When I first learned the truth, I was confused, bitter, and torn. I asked myself countless times, am I Xiaoyao or merely a shadow of someone else? Is the tenderness and favor I received truly mine, or a remnant of a century-old regret? Free-spirited by nature, I detest attachment, compromise, and living in another's shadow. I would rather wander the world alone than borrow another's face to gain borrowed affection. Yet with time, I came to understand Hongye's heart. The weariness, restraint, and devotion in his eyes were never a repetition of an old dream. They were a new life, reserved solely for me, forged through 100 lifetimes of desolation and disillusionment with the three realms. I finally understood that fate is a cycle. I am Ning'an, and Ning'an is me. 100 years of love and hate, misunderstandings, schemes, and partings. After endless twists of destiny, it is the same soul, the same sincere heart, crossing time to find each other once more. The regrets of my past life were born of helplessness. The companionship of this life is a promise fulfilled. Hongye is feared across the three realms. As the mighty king of demons, cold, domineering, and decisive, he stands above all living things, watching the world's chaos with indifference. The world only sees his power and invincibility, never the softness hidden in his heart, the buried loneliness, the desolation of walking alone for centuries. Only I know that beneath his unyielding exterior lies boundless gentleness. Though burdened with endless slander and misunderstanding, He remains sincere and kind. The world calls him a demon, a calamity, the source of chaos. But I have seen his tenderest side. He protects me completely, indulges my willfulness, and gives me exclusive favor. He breaks ancient rules for me, lays down his millennial blade, and defies the judgment of the three realms to rewrite my doomed fate. Having endured betrayal and heartbreak, he could have lived a cold, solitary existence forever. Yet he chose to pour all his tenderness into loving me sincerely. Having wandered alone for half my life and witnessed human coldness, I once dismissed love and reunion, believing peace and freedom were enough for a fulfilling life. But after meeting him, I learned true freedom is not endless, solitary wandering. It is having a home in your heart, a refuge in your love, someone who understands your strangeness, cherishes your resilience, and loves every part of you. Born an outcast, exiled by mortals and defined by the world, I was taught by Hongye that being different is not a flaw nor a sin. He accepts my mixed mortal demon blood, my unrestrained mortal temperament, and all my stubbornness, softness, and imperfections. Beside him, I need not pretend, obey, or prove my goodness. I can be bold, unrestrained, and unapologetically myself. Truly free. I have witnessed the conflicts of the three realms, the hatred between humans and demons, the struggles of immortals and devils. The world clings to rigid prejudice and racial hierarchy, binding hearts with rituals and lives with rules, trapping themselves in mortal cages forever deprived of freedom. But Hongye and I walk our own path. Mortal, demon, immortal, commoner, if heaven is unjust and the world is biased, I will follow my heart and defy the tide. I seek no worldly understanding, no recognition from the three realms. I only seek a clear conscience and a love without regret. I am like wild grass in the wind, winter plum blossoms in snow, born in turbulence, raised in suffering, yet never bowing to fate or compromising with the world. I walk the three realms with an honest heart, treat all beings with kindness, endure storms with resilience, and live with unyielding openness. I once believed freedom meant no ties, no burdens, wandering the world alone. Now I know true freedom is retaining sincerity after seeing worldly darkness, preserving kindness after witnessing chaos, and keeping purity after endless struggle. I can still be unrestrained and free, yet willingly settle my heart, devote my days, and stay faithful for one person. I, Xiaoyao, have lived half my life in hardship and displacement, misunderstood and bound by fate. Yet I never complained or despaired. Suffering forged my resilience. Prejudice shaped my openness. Loneliness nurtured my freedom. I do not stand tall because of my bloodline or fate. I stand tall because of my heart, my kindness, and my unyielding self. Past grievances have faded, century-old misunderstandings resolved. All the lost time, unspoken tenderness, and unfinished companionship of my past life have been restored in this lifetime. I am no longer a shadow or a regret. I am simply Xiaoyao, the one and only love, favor, and fulfillment of Hongye's life. For the rest of my days, I crave no fame across the three realms, no eternal glory. I only wish to follow my heart and abide in love, standing side by side with the one I love, walking through mortal fireworks, witnessing the scenery of the three realms, breaking worldly prejudice, and defying karmic cycles. The world seeks to trap me in rules, fate, and judgments of good and evil, but I choose to live freely, openly, and unbound. A heart without restraint is mortal freedom. A life without regret is ultimate Xiaoyao. I have long understood that the world's definition of good and evil is nothing but self-righteous narrowness. Mortals worship immortality and condemn demons, blindly believing that holy blood equals virtue and demonic blood equals sin. They fear what they cannot understand, hate what differs from themselves, and punish what they cannot control. They have forgotten that all lives are born equal, that darkness lurks in sacred places, and that light can grow even in demonic soil. For hundreds of years, countless demons have guarded mortal peace in silence, while countless humans have hidden greed and cruelty behind righteous masks. I have seen it all, and I refuse to be bound by such hypocritical rules. My half-demon blood once made me ashamed and confused. I resented being different, resented being excluded, resented carrying a fate I never chose. I once tried to suppress my demonic aura, force myself to blend into mortal crowds, and live a mediocre life to avoid suspicion and abuse. But after walking through wind and rain, after standing beside Hongye and witnessing the true cruelty of the three realms, I finally let go of all inferiority and restraint. My blood is not a sin, my difference is not a curse, my uniqueness is the most precious mark that makes me me. Fate tried to make me a tragic victim, a lonely outcast doomed to pain and separation, but I chose to resist. I did not resist merely for myself, but for every misunderstood being in this world, for every soul trapped by prejudice and destiny, for every love that crosses boundaries and defies worldly norms. If the heavens decree that humans and demons cannot love, then I will rewrite the rule. If the world declares that different fates cannot coexist, then I will break the barrier. True freedom is not accepting arrangement, but daring to overturn all unfair shackles. Hongye once walked alone through 100 years of darkness, bearing all the world's malice and misunderstanding for centuries. He was cold to all living things, indifferent to all chaos, until I stumbled into his desolate world with my mortal fire and stubborn sincerity. I brought him mortal trivialities, human warmth, and the ordinary happiness he had never dared to expect. In return, he gave me shelter, courage, and the confidence to face the entire three realms alone. We healed each other's scars, filled each other's loneliness, and turned two solitary destinies into one complete life. Many people question our love, saying it is incompatible, dangerous, and against natural order. They predict chaos and retribution, waiting for us to be defeated by fate. But they do not understand that the most powerful love in the world is not the perfect fit of identical souls, but the mutual redemption of two broken people. I am mortal, yet demonic. He is mighty, yet lonely. I bring him mortal warmth. He gives me eternal protection. We balance each other, complete each other, and become better versions of ourselves for each other. I no longer fear rumors or judgment. Let the three realms talk. Let the world criticize. Let fate set countless obstacles before me. I have walked through the darkest days alone, and now that I have someone to walk beside me, no storm can shake my heart. I have experienced the coldest human hearts and the warmest love. So I no longer crave worldly recognition or fear worldly abandonment. My peace does not come from the world's tolerance, but from my unwavering heart and the person who never leaves my side. True Xiaoyao is not ignorance of worldly troubles, but transcendence after experiencing all troubles. It is not fearlessness born of innocence, but calmness born of countless hardships. I have cried, despaired, hesitated, and lost myself in the long journey of life. I once resented my fate, hated my blood, and doubted my worth. But all those struggles polished my character and taught me the true meaning of freedom. Freedom is not escaping pain, but embracing all experiences and still choosing to live sincerely and freely. In the days to come, I will no longer live in the shadow of the past or the definition of the world. I will live as Xiaoyao, bold, open, sincere, and unyielding. I will continue to walk freely between mortals and demons, no longer hiding my identity or restraining my nature. I will watch the seasons change in the mortal world, listen to the wind and rain in the demon valley, taste the trivial sweetness of mortal life, and feel the eternal steadfastness of demonic guardianship. I will stand beside Hongye through all storms and all peace. When the three realms fall into chaos, I will hold his hand and face all disputes together. When the world returns to tranquility, I will accompany him to enjoy ordinary days and quiet years. I no longer long for solitary freedom, for the best freedom in the world is to have a beloved one to accompany me through every season, every sunrise and sunset, every trivial moment of life. I once thought freedom meant having nothing to lose. Now I understand that having something worth cherishing and protecting is the truest freedom. My heart is no longer wandering. My fate is no longer lonely. My love is no longer unfulfilled. I have broken free from the cage of bloodline, escaped the bondage of fate, abandoned the worldly definitions of good and evil, and finally found my own Xiaoyao. No matter how the world changes, how fate cycles, how rumors surge, I will always keep my original heart, upright and unrestrained, sincere and fearless, loving bravely and living freely. This is the way of Xiaoyao, the freedom I have spent my whole life pursuing. I have come to realize that true cultivation never lies in abandoning mortal emotions or cutting off worldly attachments. but in walking through the mortal world's myriad afflictions while retaining one's purest heart. The three realms have long been trapped in rigid dogma, blindly worshipping the so-called orthodoxy set by heaven. Immortals cling to cold rules, dismissing mortal affection as trivial weakness and demonkind as irredeemable evil. They build high walls of prejudice, labeling all cross-boundary love as taboo, all unconventional lives as heresy, yet they never stop to ponder, what kind of orthodoxy forces people to betray their hearts? What kind of justice condemns innocent lives merely for their birthright? I have wandered between two races, stood at the junction of light and shadow, and seen through the hypocrisy of the so-called righteous path. All man-made shackles, all fate-defined destinies are nothing but chains forged by narrow-minded beings to restrain those who dare to be different. My half-human and half-demon blood was once the heaviest shackle of my life, making me an outcast in both mortal and demon realms. Mortals feared my demon blood and shunned my presence. Some rigid demon elders questioned my mortal origins, deeming me unworthy of the demon king's favor. For a long time, I drifted alone, belonging nowhere, accepted by no one. But as I grew stronger in heart and firmer in my faith, I understood that belonging is never given by the world, but created by oneself. I do not need the three realms' approval to prove my worth, nor do I need others' tolerance to justify my existence. If the world has no place for me, I will carve out my own territory. If fate denies me peace, I will weave my own blessings. My identity is neither a mortal's weakness nor a demon's sin, but the unique power that allows me to bridge two worlds, to understand the sufferings of all misunderstood souls, and to walk a path that no one else dares to tread. Hongye's love has never weakened my resolve, but strengthened my courage to defy the world. Before I met him, I fought alone, struggling to survive against prejudice and fate. After I met him, I fight not only for myself, but for the love that chose me unconditionally, for the man who endured centuries of loneliness just to wait for a destined reunion. He once carried the sins of the demon realm alone, bearing all the world's slander for the faults of others. He was framed, misunderstood, and abandoned by the world, yet he never chose to become cruel or cynical. Instead, he guarded the balance of the three realms silently, hiding his tenderness beneath a domineering exterior. It is this persistence and kindness that makes me willing to stand side by side with him, to bear all storms and controversies together, to turn all the unfair treatment we have endured into the strength to break old rules and forge new destinies. I have witnessed countless lives trapped in the cycle of fate. Mortals struggle for fame and fortune all their lives, bound by secular norms and trivial mortal worries, never daring to live for themselves. Immortals chase eternal cultivation, abandoning affection and desire, turning into cold, rigid beings who lose the warmth of living souls. Demons are hunted and suppressed endlessly, forced to hide in remote valleys, living in fear and resistance, never able to live openly and freely. All living beings are trapped in their own cages, obeying the so-called destiny arranged by heaven, never daring to resist, never daring to break free. But I refuse to be one of them. I have tasted the bitterness of fate's suppression, felt the coldness of worldly prejudice, and endured the loneliness of having no place to belong. Therefore, I know exactly what I want. Not eternal life, not supreme power, but the freedom to live sincerely, to love bravely, and to walk every step of my life with a clear conscience. Time and again, I have faced crises and tribulations. Forces from the righteous path have come to suppress me. Demon elders have questioned my identity, and karmic obstacles left by 100 years of grievances have surged to disrupt our peaceful days. Every time the storm comes, I no longer panic or retreat as I did in the past. I have grown from a weak girl who could only drift with the tide to a firm woman who can stand her ground and guard her love. I know that tribulations are never meaningless suffering. Every trial polishes my state of mind. Every difficulty strengthens my bond with Hongye, and every confrontation with the world makes my understanding of Xiaoyao more profound. True freedom is not the absence of storms, but the ability to remain calm and unyielding amid storms. It is not escaping from the world's complexity, but retaining one's sincerity after seeing all complexity. I used to think that to be free was to cut off all ties and wander alone without concern. Now I understand that freedom is having someone to cherish, having responsibilities to uphold, and still choosing to be unbound at heart. I can take on the trials of fate, confront the doubts of the three realms, and bear the weight of our shared destiny, yet my heart remains free and unrestrained, never trapped by gains and losses, never troubled by rumors. I often walk through the mortal market in my spare time, watching ordinary people live trivial and warm lives. Vendors shouting in the street, families gathering for meals, old people chatting under ancient trees, children chasing and playing in the alleys. These ordinary mortal scenes, which others take for granted, are the most precious treasures in my eyes. I have experienced too much bloodshed, struggle, and separation, so I deeply cherish every moment of peace and tranquility. These trivial fireworks cure the scars left by years of suffering in my heart, letting me understand that the highest state of life is not magnificent glory, but plain and steady contentment. Glory and fame are fleeting illusions. Only heartfelt peace and sincere companionship can last forever. I also often accompany Hongye to overlook the mountains and rivers of the Demon Valley at night. The moonlight spills over the rolling Demon Mountains, the wind sweeps through the ancient forests, and the quiet night washes away the restlessness and fatigue in our hearts. He no longer bears the coldness of being alone for centuries, and I no longer carry the unease of being displaced and misunderstood. In the quiet night, we lean on each other, talk about the past hardships and future expectations, and let all the grievances and misunderstandings of the past dissipate with the wind. I know that no matter how vast the three realms are, no matter how turbulent the world is, as long as he is by my side, I have a harbor that never sinks, a faith that never collapses. I have long let go of all resentment towards the past. I no longer resent the mortal world for abandoning me, no longer hate the fate that gave me a tragic birth, no longer feel inferior because of my special bloodline. All the hardships I have endured have shaped my tough character. All the misunderstandings I have suffered have cultivated my open-minded heart. All the loneliness I have experienced have taught me to cherish the hard-won warmth in front of me. Life's ups and downs, gains and losses, separations and reunions are all indispensable experiences on the road of growth. It is these diverse experiences that make my life layered and vivid, making my understanding of goodness, love, and freedom more real and profound. In the days ahead, I will continue to uphold my original heart, walk my own path unswervingly, and live up to myself, up to my love, and up to every encounter and experience in life. I will not be influenced by worldly prejudice, nor shaken by fate's suppression, nor confused by the trivial gains and losses of the world. I will maintain my sincerity and kindness, treat every living being with tolerance, face every storm with resilience, and guard every warm moment with cherishment. I will walk hand in hand with Hongye through the 4 seasons of the 3 realms. In spring, we will watch flowers bloom all over the mountains. In summer, we will listen to the rain pattering on the leaves. In autumn, we will collect fallen leaves and feel the tranquility of the years. In winter, we will lean against each other to resist the cold wind. We will witness the changes of heaven and earth together, experience the prosperity and desolation of the mortal world together, and spend every ordinary and precious day together. We will no longer be lonely individuals walking alone in the world, but 2 souls who depend on each other, redeem each other, and achieve each other. I finally understand the true meaning of Xiaoyao. It is not recklessness and unbridled indulgence, not escaping from reality and abandoning responsibilities. It is having seen the darkness of the world but still choosing to embrace light, having endured the cruelty of fate but still choosing to be gentle and sincere, having understood the complexity of human nature but still choosing to love bravely and live freely. It is a kind of inner transcendence, a kind of spiritual freedom, a kind of calmness that can face all worldly changes without fear. My life was destined to be extraordinary from the start, filled with setbacks and obstacles that ordinary people never encounter. But I have never surrendered, never compromised, never chosen to go with the flow. I have broken free from the cage of bloodline, broken the bondage of fate, broken the prejudice of the 3 realms, and finally walked out of my own Xiaoyao path. I am Xiaoyao, half mortal and half demon, unyielding to heaven, unyielding to earth, unyielding to the world. I live by my heart, act by my faith, love with all my sincerity, and walk freely all my life. The world may continue to talk, fate may continue to set obstacles, and the three realms may continue to hold prejudices. But I will always keep my heart unbound, my love unregretful, my steps unstopping. I will turn all hardships into blessings, all misunderstandings into insights, all tribulations into strength. I will let my life bloom freely between heaven and earth, unrestrained and magnificent, and spend my whole life pursuing the ultimate Xiaoyao that belongs only to me.